Hello again, everybody. This is Steve Pratt from HitItLonger.com, and today by request I'm going to take a look at the swing of Greg Norman back when he was in his prime, back in the end of the persimmon wood steel shaft days. You can see those great pants that he used to wear. This is him driving at the British Open from a face-on view, and we can do a little comparison to my teacher Mike Austin as well. So Norman's swing is much more of a classic style swing. You can see that he's going to let his lower spine swing to the right. Not as much as Mike Austin did, but he's certainly not trying to stay stable in his navel area like the modern swing is, where they're trying to wind around, make a big shoulder wind up, about virtually no hip turn, no leg action. Their weight is stuck in the middle. Well, Norman is loading up on the right side. You can see the split knee position he's reaching, very similar to Mike Austin, very similar to many, many people who played in the classic era. You can see the left knee is flexed in, while the right knee is extended into almost a straight position. We are not trying to maintain the flexed in the right knee here. You see he makes a fantastic shoulder turn, and he's going to make a compound pivot very similar to Mike Austin. There will not be any twisting around of the hips or attempt to turn around a vertical spine. The first thing he's going to be doing is swinging his lower spine over to the left to get at the proper tilt, proper spine axis. So there's a lateral shift, driving of the right knee, straightening up of the left knee. You see here the right knee flexing and driving through. This is putting his right side under his left, putting his spine at a, like you can see here, that's approximately a 20-degree angle, just under a 20-degree angle here. Well, this is the hallmark of the classic swing, whereas the trademark of the modern swing is to keep a much more level spine. But this leg action and swinging spine sets him up for a extremely powerful release, and that's what Norman was famous for, was that freewheeling action. And we must remember that Greg Norman is considered by many experts to be the greatest driver in competition history. Long and straight, under pressure. Couldn't seal the deal in a lot of majors, but he was in contention more than nearly everybody in golf history and for majors. So this is a great motion. The one thing I'll say that I'll know, this is a little bit different than Mike Austin, is very similar pivot and leg action through impact here. I don't particularly like how he's rolling onto the outside of this ankle. That doesn't give you as much stability, nor is it good on the ankle joint. But I also wanted to point out here the angle of the shaft. You see, so it looked like he was freewheeling the shaft. You can see right here that he's forming not a great angle between the forearm and the shaft here. He's only maybe 15 degrees or so, recocked the wrist. Well, Mike Austin would have been, you see here, at a 90-degree angle. His club would have almost been hitting him in the ear at this position, and he would have been had the wrist recocked at 90 degrees. Okay, let's move along to the down the line view. Get rid of all this stuff on the screen here, and let's move on to. Of course, you'll recognize this as the 17th hole at St. Andrews, the road hole, where you have to drive the ball over a warehouse. A very similar setup to Mike Austin. And I think we've got I'm going to split the screen and bring Mike up so we can take a look in comparison here. Okay. You can see similar setup. Mike may have been bent over just a bit more at the hips. And this is important later, as you'll see that Greg Norman's head will drop just a little bit as he drops from you can see here he's approximately 20 degrees bent at the hips. Well, Mike was a little closer to 30 degrees bent at the hips. And we talked about Tiger Woods' head motion the other day. Greg Norman was also down a little bit, but notice that he is going down into a little bit of perhaps a more deep hip flexion as he goes into the slot here. As his legs drive through. May be responsible for changing that, but what I want to show you here is the similarities of both golfers at the top of the swing. Much, much different than a modern swing, in that the club head was slightly across the line in both cases. And again, if we must come into the ball to hit on the up strike 5 degrees for the optimal amount of distance and approach into the ball, proper attack angle, we must approach the ball more from the inside. We must have what would be called a horizontal swing plane inside out by, let's say, 5 to 6 degrees in order to create a zero true club path. So in other words, if you're going to hit up on the ball, you must hit out, and that's where Mike Austin's under, up, and out idea works so well. I'm seeing it every day on the TrackMan now, getting my students to hit long and straight and high drives. But you can see here the difference in left arm position. Much higher, it's splitting a plane above the shoulder, unlike the modern swing is much flatter, where the left arm is down on the shoulder. And of course, in both cases, both gentlemen have their right arm well away from their side in a throwing position. This is fantastic position. This is why they both hit the ball so far. Again, you can see the similarities. Left knee flexed in, lower spine is swinging, right knee has straightened, is not locked but is straightening. They are not trying to maintain flex in the right knee because this will restrict the swinging of the spine and eventually the size of the shoulder turns safely. Okay, so very similar positions at the top of the swing. We'll erase again. And let's look at them as they come down into impact. We'll look at Mike here. Coming into impact, you're going to see, again, a very similar position. Mike may be even more under, up, and out than Greg Norman is, but fairly similar. Okay. Let me advance Mike one more frame here so we can see the club in about the same position here. You can see that Mike's a little more under, up, and out. He's ready to create a little more of an upward strike with the driver, so his club head is going to be approaching the ball at this point from slightly more on the inside. You can see that the shoulders are a bit more square to the target. The right side is a bit more under, so his shoulders look a bit more steep. So Norman is coming a little bit more around than under, up, and out, but he's still much more under, up, and out than today's style of swinging. Two key points I want to bring up here is that long hitters or people who are trying to hit farther get in trouble, and you see that in both cases the right heel is just now starting to come up off the ground as they get to the ball, and the hips are not way around open, way too far advanced as many people who try to hit a long ball. Their hips are too far out in front of the release, and they often heel block the ball high out to the right. And so that is what made these players not only so long but so accurate, is the timing and the synchronicity between the release and the leg action was so outstanding. You see Mike here also with his heel just now starting to leave the ground, and his hips are not so far round yet. They will be, but this is because he has thrown the club from the top so early. The second point I wanted to make here is the fantastic position of the right elbows in both cases. Both gentlemen, the elbow is straightening very rapidly. It will be fully extended 30 inches past the ball in both cases. And the right elbow is in a tucked in position like you were skipping a rock. And that is what is supercharging the speed of these swings and giving them complete control over the blade, which is why both gentlemen were extremely long and straight. You get yourself into this rock skipping position and snap the elbow straight as the forearms roll, and you will be able to do the same thing, very long and straight. There's Greg Norman's signature foot slide. When I asked Mike Austin about this, he always used to say, or once he joked with me, that he thought Greg Norman was bowling, looked like he was bowling, which was pretty funny to me. So there's the signature foot slide, but it did go back, but it also slid closer to his left foot, just like Mike's did. His feet end up sliding closer together. You see Mike's right foot goes around the circle, so they end up finishing in a slightly different footwork, but similar style finishes. The spine pushed up against the rear wall of the stomach. Reverse C style is what this used to be known as. Has gotten a bad rap. But also notice both golfers have not over-rotated at the torso. Norman, as powerful as he was, look at the finish of the swing, how navel is facing down the fairway, not way around to the left. Same with Mike. Unlike an early Tiger Woods, say, where he probably turned another 45 degrees in his torso, really putting a lot of stress and strain on the lower back, a lot of torquing forces. Okay, so that's a good comparison. You have two very good classic swings of Greg Norman that won majors and contended for a great deal of majors and performed amazingly off the tee. Very similar to the Mike Austin swing and the under, up, and out idea. And thanks for watching. I'll catch you again tomorrow.